Welcome back to the We Win Injury Law podcast. I'm Tyler Todd, your host, sitting here with my co-host, Jaron, the Snow Canyon Man Sandberg. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
We are going to talk today about Reddit. Do any of you guys get on Reddit? I imagine you do. Do you get on Reddit?
It seems like, well, Google suggests sometimes, like, you'll ask a question and then one of the suggested answers is like a Reddit forum that is given a bunch of answers on that exact question.
Yeah, I don't really get on. I mean, every now and then I get on because if you Google something or chat GPT something, it'll kind of give you a Reddit, and you kind of go down the Reddit rabbit hole a little bit. I'm not like a user on Reddit. I did have some things going around about me on Reddit years ago when I was on 90 Day Fiancé. That was kind of funny. I did a little quick segment on 90 Day Fiancé as a lawyer, the show, and it was kind of funny.
I'm surprised, like, after that, we didn't get more calls for you, like, appear on television or movies.
I know. Like, I thought that was like my, like...
Did you end up getting your SAG card after that? Because now you've been on it.
I should have applied. I didn't even think about applying. I should have done it.
You should have done it.
It's a lost, opportunity.
I know.
And, where are all the opportunities? Where are all the producers? Like...
You'd think they'd have saw that and been like, oh...
He's our guy.
This guy on.
He's a natural for TV.
For TV.
Can you imagine? So Reddit. So look, I think it's kind of a funny thing. I mean, it's not funny. They're good. I don't know what's your understanding of the content on Reddit. Is it legit?
It's all user submitted, so the answers could be total bullshit. Like, people can just make up things.
Look, no knock on Reddit users. I think I'm trying to legitimately find out. Is it legit content? Is it mostly like people just get on and be weirdos, or
just like comments when you're, on Instagram, the most helpful comment is normally liked. I think that's what also helps the Reddit. People like one comment normally probably gets more prominence. I like reading the am I an asshole ones, but there are some fun ones too that people do and they'll read them live on TikTok and things. So I like some of those. But as far as some of the legal answers ones, I've seen some that the answer is correct. If hey, I'm an attorney, I do this.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Yeah.
I feel like some of it's been great content. Other times I've read it and I've read it on Reddit.
That's well done. Well played.
And it's terrible advice.
Yeah.
And we did one on an earlier show where someone had said, here's how to do it without a lawyer. And again, shameless plug for ourselves, but then the feedback was I got $2,000 on what seemed like a serious case.
Like a legit case where it could have been $200,000. Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that was terrible advice. And I hope other people didn't get to that answer thinking, oh, that's what I should do. Because how many people, so that's the only, I think as long as people take it in context of who's answering, and sometimes it might not be a lawyer on the other side giving the answer. It might be other users submitting.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. Well, let's go through a couple. We found a couple questions that we think might be relevant to anybody listening, all maybe 10 of you. So let's do a couple.
And share this with a friend. They could be the 11th listener.
Yes, please share with a friend. Yeah. And if you've seen our podcast before and you find any of this relevant or helpful or mildly entertaining, please subscribe, share it with a friend. Hopefully it's helpful. So the first question, and this is a good one. This is a good question. How long until I get an offer on my underinsured motorist claim? And I think that's a really good... Oh, and there's actually from... Is this like a comment? Yeah, it says, I am pursuing recovery through my underinsured motorist coverage. The adjuster was assigned within 3 to 4 days. I know things take time.
And so they wanted to know, then that was their question.
And that was their question. Okay. Well, it's a good question.
Yeah, there's a couple of components to that, right? So when we open up a new claim for a client, not only do we open up a claim for the at-fault party, we also open up a claim for their uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage in the event that the at-fault party either has no insurance or doesn't have enough. So we open up claims on both sides. So if an attorney's handling your case, then you're not really waiting for a response on an offer until we've submitted one. But once you've submitted one, I've heard we typically do 20 days. A good attorney friend of ours down in California has said do 30 days. But typically, if they've done an investigation and they don't need more information, they'll normally get a response back to us within that time frame.
Yeah, I think that's about accurate. Sometimes it feels like it takes longer, to be honest. Sometimes they'll ask for extensions. because they have to round table it, or then they're asking for additional information, and they'll try to suggest they don't have all the relevant medical records or enough information to actually make a complete evaluation on your claim.
I've been told by clients that have signed up with us after they made their own demand, or they made their own letter. I didn't hear back from anyone in 60 days. That's why I'm calling you. So I think for us, because we do give them those deadlines and they know we'll file a lawsuit, we probably get more prompt responses than
That's
maybe
probably
someone
fair.
doing it on their own.
Yeah, and when I first read the question, it made me think, because that's a great question that people, when I say people, clients always ask, how long is this going to take?
Yeah.
So the typical response when you're dealing with third party, which is the liability, just kind of depends on your treatment. And then once we make a demand to the insurance company, it does take that 20 to 30 day time frame to get like a response. Now, on this particular question with the underinsured motorist claim, that obviously tells us that they've already had third party payout.
Yeah.
And then you're just making a demand to the underinsured portion of the claim. And I think that, yeah, I think you're about right.
You might
20 to 30 days, or they might ask for additional information and then you have to provide it. And obviously our role is to make sure the adjusters have all the information relevant that they need to make a decision.
Yeah, we help them help us, at least initially.
Right. So yeah, 20 to 30 days. That's typically about the response time you can expect. So that's a good question.
Now, negotiating time is obviously different. I'd say that we get this question, kind of a hybrid of this, which is, well, how long does it take? We typically will give adjusters at least some negotiating room. And it's a case by case. So if we're working within limits and we're not demanding the policy limits, there's more negotiation. If really the claim, the value exceeds the policy amounts and they're not offering the policy amounts, there's not a whole lot of negotiations.
That's an excellent point that we need to clarify with this, our answer to this question, because the question just says, until I get an offer.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. The offer you get back within that 20 to 30 day time period is probably not going to be the offer you want to hear.
Yeah.
So more likely than not, an offer from an underinsured motorist carrier is going to be zero.
Yeah.
Or they say, you've been adequately compensated, we'll give you $500 to go away. Maybe they offer $5,000, but more oftentimes than not, it's never an offer we would ever accept. So the time frame on when you can get an offer versus the time frame which you can actually resolve your underinsured motorist claim are two different things.
Yeah.
Just make that. I want to make that clear.
It's not going to be what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
here's the next question.
Okay.
Should I ask a PI lawyer, that's a personal injury lawyer, to front?
That's us.
To front MedPay.
We're PI lawyers.
We are.
Yeah.
That's us.
Yeah.
To front MedPay, and what questions should I ask? And this was kind of the context. Does anyone have recommended questions I can ask my lawyers during our meeting? I have so many questions and I'm so confused.
That's a great question. And I've discussed this issue with a number of lawyers around the country, friends that are PI lawyers, and it's a great question. Well, first of all, let's dissect what MedPay is.
Yeah.
Okay. In most states around the country, you have MedPay on your policy. Now, a lot of states don't necessarily require it, but you can add it. Okay. So if you don't have it, well, then it's a moot point. If you have it, okay, and obviously this appears this particular user on Reddit has it. In Utah, we're a PIP state. Okay. That means personal injury protection, because we're a no-fault benefit state where the minimum PIP requirement is $3,000. Most MedPay policies around the country I've seen are $5,000 or $10,000. And what MedPay is and what PIP is when you have it on your policy, Utah, again, it's required. What will happen is then when an auto accident occurs and you're not at fault, your MedPay, when Utah, it's regardless of fault, your MedPay will step in and start paying those immediate medical bills. Okay. So the question is a little interesting as to why you would need an advance on MedPay benefits, because typically MedPay and or PIP payments are regardless of fault and they start automatically when you open up a claim.
Yeah, they're just submitted directly from the medical provider to the insurance carrier.
To the carrier. So there shouldn't be a need for an advancement of MedPay benefits, but I have heard that a number of lawyers around the country will offer to pay providers an upfront guaranteed amount of MedPay so that they don't have to then submit the billing and wait to be paid.
Okay. Well, and I guess maybe let's take it one step further, because I've had this question come up enough times. What about the rest of my medical bills once that $3,000 is gone?
Or the MedPay is exhausted?
Or the MedPay is exhausted.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So lawyers we're governed by rules of professional conduct. And the rules of professional conduct do dictate what we can or cannot do in regards to expenses or advances on cases. So pure medical expenses, the rules that's a bit frowned upon. If they're expert costs to advance on the advancement of the case, that's allowable by the rule. So there are some things we can do. There are some things we can't do. In all reality, there is some gray on it, to be honest. So it's a good question to ask your lawyer, but most times I would say you don't need to advance those PIP or MedPay costs. They should be automatic, and they should be paid directly to your medical providers.
Now, there are some case financing groups, and they'll somehow they always find our clients. We get clients that'll call us about case financing. Should I take out this advance from this company?
I would recommend anybody, because that happens, and I'm sure it happens around the country with people that are involved in an accident. They're immediately looking to get some immediate cash flow, and they know there's going to be maybe a little bit of pot at the end of the rainbow. I would advise anybody listening or watching this, do not use those companies. They will charge you an outrageous amount of interest. Now, it's like credit. We all use credit cards. We all use some form of maybe credit, mortgages on our homes. We all do it. Just be super cautious that the interest rate is not so outrageous that it's going to be a burden to pay back.
Yeah, most of these, when a client sent me a screenshot of something they're considering, it doesn't even feel like a credit card. This feels like one of those payday loans.
It talks like a payday loan where the loan interest rates are usury, meaning whatever. They can charge whatever.
Yeah. We'll loan this to you, and if in the first 3 months you only pay $500, but then as soon as that first 3 months are, and we know we can't tell a client how long their case is going to take, because if we file a lawsuit, there's court deadlines that take a year. We might get a trial date for 18 months. And so there's things that, when I look at that, and then all of a sudden it jumps to 37%, I'm like, there goes their whole...
Or more.
By the end of this, they won't get anything.
So ask your lawyer about that. Ask your lawyer about whether that's a good idea to use those advancement companies. Look at the interest rates that they're charging. And obviously, if you're backed into a corner, what do you do? I'm not going to say don't do it, but there typically are alternatives, much better alternatives to using those types of companies. Yeah. So do that. Next question. If my health insurance paid before settlement, do I have to reimburse them? That's a great question.
Yeah, that one comes up a lot.
So the actual question from Reddit is, will I have to reimburse my health insurance once the settlement is reached?
And I'll kind of take one step, the 50-yard view first is, I like when our clients do have health insurance. I view it almost more as like a nice little discount program, because they are required to be repaid. So if you use health insurance to pay your bills, and a lot of clients are like, wait, but I pay my health insurance premiums again. The insurance company, if it's not due to just poor health, but it's due to the fall of another, just like we're getting you compensated, they're saying, wait, we advanced $40,000 for surgery. We want to
their hand is out waiting to be reimbursed. Always.
Now, here's the benefit. If you do have health insurance, I would typically recommend using it because of two things. One, the bills are paid, so the medical provider won't be coming after you. Normally, the second reason is your health insurance is normally negotiated some better rates.
Yep.
And so if the surgery costs $40,000, your insurance company might have already negotiated. They only pay $20,000 of that. And then when we do settle the case and we negotiate with insurance companies, most of them will then take some reduction, and big reductions depending on the right circumstances. Some of them, we've had cases where they've waived any type of payment. Some of them will reduce a third. Some will reduce a half. And so we negotiate that as well. So I think of it like if they had put the whole thing on an attorney lien for the $40,000 surgery, I'm starting from $40,000 and have to negotiate that down. Versus if health insurance reduced it down to $20,000, I'm negotiating from $20,000 down. That's a lot better position, a lot better savings. And different states have different requirements on how that affects your claim necessarily. So some states you can't use the $40,000 bill. In Utah, we at least start there.
Right.
But I do think if you have it, use it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I guess the general answer to the question is yes, you have to pay them back. But a little attorney plug for us, right, is the benefit of using your insurance company and then having a lawyer to help you assist you in your personal injury claim is the health insurance will typically automatically reduce their subrogation, because that's what it's called, subrogation right to reimbursement, because we as the lawyers have collected their reimbursement. And so they'll automatically reduce now. And that, like you said earlier, that it varies, but by having a lawyer, one, you're going to probably get more value out of your claim than you otherwise would if you were to do it on your own. And two, we were able to reduce those subrogation liens down dramatically.
And that's a conversation to have before you agree to any type of settlement is who's negotiating these? Because I can tell you right now, again, even if you think you're getting a great offer from the insurance company, which if you're doing this on your own without a lawyer, you're probably not. But even then, you trying to negotiate with medical providers and health insurance companies, you're not going to get anywhere.
No.
And there is some degree, and this isn't just to toot our horn, because I've done this on my own personal stuff when I've tried to negotiate bills, and the hospital says, yeah, we'll give you a one-time 5% discount. You pay the whole thing right now.
Right.
But as soon as we put on our lawyer hat, it comes from a firm letterhead, all of a sudden they start playing ball. And they just know that, because the end result is we'll eventually take them to court if we have to.
Right.
And so they will just negotiate better. So if your attorney's not talking about that, or you're trying to do this on your own, that's also a good sign. Talk to.
Yeah, it's super important, because at the end of the day, one thing that we try to focus on is your net return, and a gross settlement versus a net back in your pocket are two different things. So that's a big reason why we have to always negotiate the subrogation liens with health insurance. So that's a great question.
Ooh, we're getting it. We're getting the new question.
Jeez.
I like it.
Okay, we got a question. I accidentally created an army of bodyguards. Am I liable? Okay, so
I have turned into Moira Rose, Queen of the Crows. My inadvertent crow army has gotten aggressive towards others. If they hurt someone, could I be held liable? Well, of course.
Queen of the Crows. That's
Creek fan. That's my wife's a big Schitt's Creek fan.
I've seen it. It is funny. Speaking of Schitt's Creek, the main actress, the mom, is she everywhere right now or what?
She's in a lot of stuff.
Dude, she's in everything, it feels like. I mean, she's most notably Kevin's mom.
She's Kevin's mom, and that's why I have a hard time with Schitt's Creek, because I can only picture her as Kevin's mom.
Kevin! I mean, that's every time I see her, all I see is Kevin from Home Alone.
Her voice in Schitt's Creek throws me off, because I'm like, that's not Kevin's mom.
But dude, she's everywhere.
She's in she's in new shows and movies.
Totally.
She's hitting her second.
Good for her, man. She's killing it. Okay, sorry. So this is a funny question.
I like it.
Well,
did she train the crows, or did she just make them?
So from a legal perspective, right? I mean, this is a kind of a silly question, but from a legal perspective, yeah, it goes down to what was the role, okay? And then what type of, so in everything we do this is tort law, okay? Injury law is called tort law. So if you go to law school, you took a torts class. And if you guys out there, I mean, I'm kind of dating myself, maybe a little bit, I don't know. I love John Grisham. You read John Grisham books?
I've read a couple, but not. I know you've, I think, read every one of them.
Almost every one of them. But John Grisham,
coming out?
Yeah, he's still writing, man. That guy's kicking him out. He's like freaking Kevin's mom. Can't stop him.
Can't stop.
But it's actually good stuff, because it's like real life legal fiction, right? Pelican Brief, The Firm,
Jury Duty.
What else has he written? Lots of one. Anyway, he has one book too called The King of Torts. It's great. But so this is a tort, what we're doing. And when we're injury lawyers, yeah, we're making claims, we're settling claims, and we're doing those things. But everything we do, we put our lawyer hat on, and we have to prove elements, right? And that's an element of tort law. So the 5 elements of tort are duty, breach, causation, and there's A and B in that. So that's why we have up to 4, and then damages. So for our Queen of the Crows, did she have a duty to anybody that may have been injured by
her feeding these crows? Now, I want to juxtapose this with, because we brought up Kevin and Kevin's mom from Home Alone. Great film, Home Alone 2, in New York. Do you recall the pigeon lady that also threw all of the like bird seed and things on Harry and Marv?
Yes.
And the birds attacked them. So now we're taking it a step further. So scenario 1 is obviously you feed a ton of birds and they end up attacking, hurting someone. Where in the second case, she actually like sicked the birds on them with her bird feed.
Intentionally, yeah.
That I would say.
Or negligently.
Do you have a claim if you're Harry and Marv? Absolutely. You have to. I mean, even their original intent to maybe like kidnap Kevin aside, someone sicks like an army of pigeons on you in the park. I think liable.
That's liable.
Now, I think she might have been a homeless lady, so I don't know if they'd necessarily.
What type of recovery?
But you could at least.
And then were they damaged? Our last element.
Yeah.
Were they hurt?
Well,
did they get like their eyes? But they didn't.
And once
they kept going.
We need to do a whole nother episode on Harry and Marv liability for Home Alone.
But Moira Rose, Queen of the Crows. I don't know. I mean, look, we all have a duty to each other, right? Yeah. We all have a duty to each other to make sure that we are living. We all live in a community. I'm kind of like an old school a little bit in that way. Like, we all live in a community. There's rules for a reason.
Yeah.
So we avoid chaos.
And typically we look at what's reason. What did you?
Right.
Did what you do, was it reasonable?
So if she's walking around with 1 or 2 or 3, that's her like army of crows, or she has 100 of them, then yeah, you walk around with 100 crows and they're kind of following you and doing everything you tell them to do. That you might have a duty to people around you to make sure that they're not going to like start picking your eyes out. Or
what ultimately have to look at, was that conduct reasonable to raise her army of crows?
So wow, is this a real question?
I read it, yeah. I love it.
That's why I said, like, look, if there is 1 or 2 versus 100 or 500 crows, then yeah, you're going to have a duty to the people around you to make sure that the crows aren't getting out of control. And if they do, I think that's a breach of your duty. And if there are injuries, i.e. like losing an eyeball, that's a significant injury, i.e. damage, that I think she's on the hook. So yeah, Moira Rose,
Moira
Rose, Queen of the Crows. You're cooked.
She's cooked.
Right?
When you're cooked.
They're cooked.
She's cooked.
That could be a movie. That could be a John Grisham movie. Queen of the Crows.
She'd be in it because she's in everything right now.
Hey, John, if you're listening, that could be your next title to your book, Queen of the Crows. Right? And the lead actress is Kevin's mom.
It's got to be. She's the hot actress right now.
I love it. This Reddit user has no idea what he or she may have just started.
I love that they asked this on the legal advice subreddit. That's the best part.
That's so good. Okay, next question, Reddit. Last one. Can I swerve and avoid an accident even if I hit someone else?
This was kind of like our Tesla case.
It is, yes.
So we analyzed a Tesla video in an earlier podcast, and if you watched on YouTube, we showed the clip, and I think we posted on social media. But a Tesla car's driving down the road, and someone starts to fall off the sidewalk. The Tesla, at first glance, it just looks like the Tesla swerving and hitting someone.
It did, totally.
But then as you see the video a second, third time, you notice that this person had fallen right in front of the Tesla, and the Tesla swerved to avoid the person that had fallen.
But upon swerving, almost head-on collision with another vehicle.
Yeah.
Coming from the opposite direction.
Yep.
So
the context of this question, they said, so you can swerve and not crash if you're not an alert driver and swerve to avoid an accident causing another. Will you be at fault for hitting that other vehicle?
I think you will be. No question. Because, I mean, when there are rear-end impacts, the most common ticket that is often issued by a police officer is a following too closely ticket. Because obviously you're not following that appropriate distance, you're not paying attention to traffic in front of you. Oftentimes in depositions, we depose the drivers and when we ask them, what were you doing? Oh, I was looking over my shoulder to my rearview mirror or my side mirror. Oh, I was looking down at my phone, or I was turning around talking to my kids,
Or I just wasn't paying attention.
or I was looking down at my radio. Whatever it is, the follow-up question is, so you took your eyes off the traffic in front of you, correct? Yes, I did. But it was only for a few seconds. Just to be clear, you just admitted that you took your eyes off the road and the traffic in front of you, correct? Yes, I did. So we're going to nail you, Reddit user, if you swerve to avoid something in front of you and then cause a crash. Yes, you're liable. It's a good question. But
now, in the event that another car swerves into your lane and you then swerve to avoid them and hit someone else, they've got to change the and then because this happens all the time where they never find the unknown vehicle that caught. Again, because what we end up with, right, is we typically are representing the victim in this, and they're trying to say, no, it wasn't us. It was this phantom third vehicle that caused the crash that no one has ever seen.
Well, I mean, that's a great question. So in that event, you could then try to apportion liability somewhere else. But we just settled a claim, and it was an uninsured motorist claim for a client of ours. And it was only a $50,000 policy, but we settled it for the $50,000 policy limits. Thankfully, because it was kind of a complicated case with like causation on injuries, but they agreed to tender the limits, and it was the same thing. It was a phantom vehicle that had caused our client to go off the road. The phantom vehicle could not be found, but we were able to still recover on behalf of our client via his uninsured motorist policy.
So back to the initial question. If you had to swerve because you weren't paying attention or you weren't going too fast for conditions,
you're cooked.
Or improper lane change,
cooked.
If it's due to someone else, there might be some other things at play.
Medium cooked, medium rare.
Medium cooked. Medium rare. Ooh, I like that better than cooked. Medium rare.
I mean, let's be honest. There's going to be
a steak guy, so
you love steak.
My language.
There's going to be an apportionment issue for sure. There will be a apportionment issue, but if you are not paying attention, you're distracted in any way, and you have to then do some form of an evasive maneuver, and you cause a crash, even though you avoided the first one, I guess, you're going to be held responsible for sure. So it's a good question.
Well done.
But you're well done, cooked. So hopefully that's helpful, you guys. Reddit's awesome. I mean, I feel like sometimes I need to like become a user and spend more time on Reddit. But it's like, what's it called now? The kids are calling it death scrolling?
Doom scrolling?
Doom scrolling. Yeah, doom scrolling. I don't know. That'll get you sucked in too. Reddit, TikTok, all of them.
We have enough things that are doom scrolling. Maybe we should start on Reddit.
No, we don't need anything else to distract our time away from everything that we're doing. We're passionate about this. That's why it's fun to go through these questions. It's fun to talk about this. We're passionate about what we do. We love being injury lawyers. We love representing our clients. We love advocating and fighting for our clients. I love talking to adjusters. I love talking to defense lawyers, negotiating with them, arguing our side, our points, hopefully being respectful always. I love this stuff. And hopefully with the results that we get for our clients, hopefully that shows through that. So,
well, I tell you, our clients hate dealing with them. So they're glad that you love it and that we love it.
And you love it. Yeah. And we got a very nice compliment actually from an opposing lawyer that in a case we had to file on, that was a big part of reaching a really good result was our professionalism on dealing with not only the adjuster, but also the defense lawyer's office.
Yep.
And so that was very nice. So find us on our website, wewouldinjurelaw.com. You can find us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Of course, you can DM us on this medium or wherever you are listening to this podcast or watching this podcast. If you have questions, the consults are always free. And whether you're in Utah or not, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to be a resource. You guys be safe out there. We live in a great country, we live in Utah. We live in a beautiful state. Be mindful and respectful to everyone around you. We live in I love being American. We live in a beautiful country, and be respectful to all those around you. I think that's the most important thing. Leave early, slow down.